Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Joe, and I'm back with a brand new YouTube video. Today's video, I'm going to be breaking down a step-by-step process on how I created this design. Let's jump straight into it. In the beginning, you guys saw me going to an AI that I sometimes use, not all the time, but sometimes I like to use it for creating unique background ideas, and if I'm in a little bit of a time crunch, it is something I like to go to. It usually comes out perfect, so I typed in some crazy transcript, was looking for something exactly like this, and I went ahead and just went with it. Next thing I did was grabbing my background image, and then I kind of put it over top of my subject. I went to Google and found a good quality image of deer and fox, by the way. But after I added my background above my subject, I began like masking it out so I can kind of create a little bit of depth in my image. So right here, as you guys can see, I'm beginning to like paint in all my shadows and highlights just so I can make this look as realistic as possible, and just so I can tackle the lighting theme I'm going for in this design. Lighting is something, you know, I really want to work on lately, so why not challenge myself with this one? I honestly think it came out perfect. So I'm just taking my curve layers here and adjusting the purples and skin tones, and that's basically what I did, was just painting in highlights and shadows. I'm still making some slight adjustments here, as you guys can see, because some parts were a little off. I was kind of having a little bit of a hard time with the elbow, and then I unfortunately realized my mask was a little messed up, so I had to go back in there and fix it, but that's no big deal. And honestly, this is one of those designs where the composition always comes to me super easy, and this is one of those designs again where this is just something I thought of, I guess a little bit of inspiration of something I saw, I guess, with the color scheme I was going for. So this one came relatively fast to me, and I was super happy with the way it came out. You guys later on in the video will definitely be able to see kind of the struggle I went through adding the text to this. Couldn't really find a concept that I really liked, so definitely it was a little bit of a struggle finding something. In the end, I did figure out something. Unfortunately, that part isn't in the video. The day after I was recording, I went ahead and finished it up after like really thinking about it and kind of hyping myself up and motivating myself to actually finish this. For this part of the video, you guys can see I'm still kind of messing with my lighting, just trying to get it absolutely perfect. I know it's not 100% because my lighting is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's mid, but it's not the best. Improve on it, so I'm trying to make this look as best as I can that's up to my standards. I'm happy with. Beginning to add in my text, I noticed that some of my shadows, I might have missed these during my lighting process, so I went back in there and I merged everything together, and then I began building my color correction. I mentioned this before, I usually like to do this just to get a vibe and kind of an idea of what my final color correction is going to look like, and then I start piecing things together. So I'm going back into my old designs and I'm just kind of grabbing assets, just trying to get a vibe, kind of a feel for what I was going for. I saw a similar layout on Pinterest that I wanted to try, but thank God it didn't work out for this design, because it probably would have just ruined it, and I'm super happy that, you know, I spent the extra time on this. I also wanted to mention too, this design low-key took like 6 hours. Anything with lighting and spending actual time and really getting in there and focusing on detail is always going to take long no matter what, unless you're just some form of a wizard. Even me with 10 years of experience in Photoshop, it's still extremely hard for me to paint things in such a little amount of time. So I'm still adding my text here and playing with my layout. These were just super challenging. I just couldn't find something that works. Throughout this design, I was my girlfriend was sitting behind me watching, and I kept asking her what she thought, and every time I turned around I wasn't getting the best responses, so I knew that things weren't right, and I had to keep trying my best to figure this out, keep getting after it. But I try my absolute best is to add the team's branding into my designs. Sometimes it doesn't work out, as you guys can see here. I kept trying it over and over and over. I added a little bit of a black texture that I believe I found on Twitter from a creator into this design, and then I just switched over my blending option to a screen just so it can kind of give it that star effect, as you guys can see. I'm back in my camera raw filter, and I was just kind of playing with final camera color correction and just adjusting textures and lighting, adjusting the lighting and colors just to make sure everything's 100% spot on. And I noticed that some of my dark spots were a little off, so I had to go back in there and fix it. I'm still kind of going through it with the layout. I'm just trying a whole bunch of crazy stuff. I actually didn't mind how that looked, but the idea I had in my head, that unfortunately wasn't going to work. I went on Google to try and find deer and fox's player signature. I thought adding it into the design would be a cool idea. I was going to try to maybe use his signature as a form of depth in the design, but I already had that going on with the chains at the bottom. I'm still trying to add text and figuring out how this is going to work. I don't really use colors with my text unless it's absolutely justified, so mainly I'm working with white and adding white text into the areas that are extremely lit up and exposed. You're not going to be able to read it, so I was definitely having a difficult time trying to nail this one. I tried so many different ideas and so many different things, and I really couldn't figure out something I love. I mentioned before about overcomplicating in my last video. This is a prime example of me doing the most with this design. Kind of like this layout I had going on. It was a little basic, but it looked good. I began adding the text in the background. This is usually what I do for most of my designs. I'm trying to switch things up so I am not extremely one-dimensional and don't keep doing the same designs over and over. I'm still playing around and I'm trying to figure it out, but For the most part, I'd say I'm about 50% done with this part of the design. I have some things I like and there's some things in there that I don't like. I'm just going through the motions and just trying to piece it together. After failed attempt after failed attempt, I think I finally figured it out. I liked what I had going on with the background, but I definitely had a lot of things going on with the overall design, and things were super busy, and I knew that. While also trying to fix it, I was also still trying to fill in some of that blank space and weird gaps I had going on. I was definitely struggling with kind of making it all flow and fit well together. This is also one of those designs where just throughout the process, the beginning of it, I fell in love with it, and towards the end was just something I just couldn't get behind. I guess that tends to happen with most designers. We're obviously not going to love everything we create, but as long as the quality's there, and if I know deep down inside it's a good project, but I don't essentially love the overall outcome of it, I'll still post it anyway. Regardless if I don't love it, I always make sure the quality's there and it's up to par. And this just happened to be one of those designs where I don't know. We're kind of nearing towards the end of this breakdown. As you guys can see here, I'm kind of just adding in things, just trying to fill in that blank space I was talking about earlier. Kind of the awkward areas, but you guys can see I'm just kind of going back and forth and just deleting things, going back into old projects and just grabbing assets out. Just trying everything I can to just figure this thing out. I moved my background text over and it was starting to grow on me. I knew it was probably 90% done. I just had to figure out that last bit. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, the last bit, when I do figure it out, isn't a part of this video, but is damn near close to the final design that you guys will see here at the end. After moving the text back over in the background, I actually finally began to somewhat like this. I got about 90% of the way and I just decided to call it quits for the night. I went back into my camera raw filter, I merged everything together, and I began working on my final color correction and adding in that final piece of depth and working on lighting and just making the proper adjustments to make this thing as much as picture perfect as possible, I guess, for me. I'm just playing around with some subtle details here, just trying to figure it out. I finally just add in my last lighting details. I dive straight into that color correction for the night. This thing is done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you found it helpful. If you guys want to see anything more, just comment down below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, as it only helps. I'm going to try my absolute best to keep posting more for you guys. Check out my social media. Everything is down in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'm out of here. Peace.